Jared with the Daily News here. Looks like you're still in the office there in Bowling Green. I guess, first of all, what are the plans for you guys in terms of coming down here and, trying to get some work in, still not knowing exactly who you're going to play just yet?
Well, the reason we're here, basically still because you can't come down there and practice on the court you're going to play on, which is kind of unusual. So the first time we get on the court will be game time. There's no shoot-arounds on the court. There's no practicing on the court. So we said instead of going down, and normally you would have been down, you'd be leaving today, practice on the court tonight or tomorrow before you play Thursday. It's normally the way you do it. Most tournaments are that way. But we decided before we go down and go to auxiliary gym somewhere, we're better off staying here and, stay in our little bubble the best we can and stay away from all that other stuff. So it's kind of our plans. We'll leave tomorrow, practice here in the morning, go down, can't scout the game so we can watch it on TV as a group. And Thursday morning, we have to go to a high school gym if that's what we decide to do somewhere. And I guess we play 5:30 Thursday afternoon, pretty quick.
Coach Fred Cowgill, WKY. Talk about the challenge of winning 3 games in 3 days. How do you go about it as a coach to try to manage the rest for your players and all of that, and just the bigger picture thing of knowing the prize that's out there?
Yeah. Hey, Fred, the 3 games in a row, to be honest with you, is really not a huge challenge. That's not near as challenging as playing 2 games in a row, same opponent. I've been on that other side many a time at 3 games in a row. But you're changing opponents. It's just a different mindset. This back-to-back stuff, same opponent, is something we've never dealt with. And I can promise you, just from a mentality standpoint, that's one of the most difficult things we've ever experienced. So, I'm not as concerned about that. We've had experience doing that. We did it in South Dakota, off the bat. And then because the way our league was set up, we got a back-to-back a whole bunch. So I think we'll be okay with that. Number one, it's a 3-game season now. You don't have to go win 14 or 16 season we just came out of. It's a totally different season. You got to win your first one to get to your second one. You win your second one, you get to the third one. And we all know at the end of the third one, what's waiting for you. So, but again, our challenge is playing a very good, and we would anticipate, you can't anticipate always in tournaments, but seems to be San Antonio seems to be the team. It's probably the best right now. I think they've won 8 out of the last 10. Charlotte's playing without their starting center too, and that hurts them. I think they've lost 8 in a row. So if you have to anticipate who you're going to play, it's probably going to be San Antonio. And we all know what Jackson and Wallace is capable of doing there.
Hey, Coach, Dominic Yates with the Courier-Journal. For your team, the way they closed the regular season out strong, winning the East Division, just, what has the confidence level been like now before you head into Frisco, Texas, and especially because of how big that is for the program?
Well, Dominic, anytime you win a championship at any level, that's very special. There's a lot of teams, there's a lot of players never get the opportunity to experience what our guys just did. And they did it in a very difficult situation all year long. Y'all have heard me say many times, you come off the court, just finish the scouting report on somebody you're going to play, and all of a sudden you figure out you're not playing, you got to go play somebody else. And then all the different times, the month of February was a challenging month. When you only play 2 games in 30 days, 31 days, that was challenging for us. It was challenging the way you had to practice. Two of those series was somebody else. One of them was us. So we had to practice different. As I look back on it, probably 2/3 of those practices the month of February was more individual based. I say individually 4 players at a time. Then you had contact tracing and some of those issues that affected us and who we had out there and who we didn't have. And And we went through that one stretch where without, a couple coaches and 2 or 3 guys. And so it's been different. But as I said earlier, a lot of teams have had to deal with this. Then you have to deal with that back-to-back stuff that none of us knew preseason how that would be. None of us has never done it, never experienced it. I'm like you guys sitting there, hey, it's next game, keeping score, should you play to win? You wouldn't think it'd be a big issue. That's my mindset. But I think you guys have seen enough statistics now and seen different games across the country where people win by 25 or 30 or 40 one night and get beat the next night. And you say, how's that happen? Well, it happens. So that was a huge challenge right there. So to get your team to a point that, win a championship, it's our guys deserve a lot of credit fighting through all these different obstacles to put themselves in position to do that.
Coach, this is Hunter Smith with WBKO. You mentioned UTSA, probably the hotter team between them and Charlotte. Do you feel like there's more of an emphasis to focus on UTSA just because you haven't seen them this year and you faced Charlotte twice?
If you're asking me, we'll do a scouting report today, basically San Antonio. We've played a Charlotte team. If that was to happen, we could get that scouting point back mentally pretty quick because you played them twice. So that won't be as much of a challenge. San Antonio is a team that we haven't played and haven't done a scout report on them. So there'll be much more focus and preparation put towards them today and tomorrow for sure.
Hey, Coach, this is Gary Graves from the AP. What can you draw from those series, those back-to-backs that can kind of help you in the tournament format, where you got to play day after day?
Gary, probably the back-to-back physically will help us because we're used to doing that. The back-to-back in the conference tournament will be a whole lot better for us mentally because it's a different opponent. And it's more mental than it was physical, back-to-back games. It wasn't a physical thing, except for this past weekend. It became physical for us. And we'll come back to finish your question, was basically what we had come through. We played 2 games in 31 days, then we played 5 in 9 days. And 3 of those games, Houston and Old Dominion, were tough, hard, physical games. So there was no question. And we were dealing with some guys being out. Luke hadn't played for 3 weeks. Josh, who missed a series before this, didn't he? Yeah, he missed the whole series before that and hadn't practiced, and whatever that deal was. So we were experiencing 5 games, 9 days, 2 guys who played valuable minutes out. So it became a physical thing for us. And plus, it was a Monday game in the conference we played going into this Friday, Saturday game. That was a factor for us. So I don't look at the energy thing as much of a factor in this conference tournament. You played 2 in a row. I don't think it's a factor. You get to that 3rd one, now your emotions got to take over that 3rd one if you do have a little bit of fatigue. So I don't see that being a big issue, Gary, physically. Not near as difficult as back-to-back mentally.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Coach, it's Charles with the College Heights Herald. Oh, someone else go?
No, go ahead.
Charles, you're up. I got you. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, having such a deep roster, how does that help you as a coach in a tournament format when you have more flexibility with your lineups? You have a bunch of games back to back to back, but having such a deep group of guys, how does that make you feel coming in? Does it give you more confidence?
Well, for sure, Charles. I mean, I think very obvious. We have 8, 9 guys who are really comfortable in playing minutes. Eight guys now since we got them back. Been play a lot of minutes, starter minutes, really a lot of them. But we can go 9. We can go 10. We had to, but 9 for sure. So that gives you some confidence that somebody gets hurt or you get in foul trouble. You have some options. I think we've seen in the past. Last year I know we didn't have a conference tournament to play, but we didn't have a lot of options off that bench now. That team survived a year, basically playing 6 guys. Wasn't many options. This year's team, we have more options for sure.
Hey, Coach, it's Dominique again. You played in 2 conference championships since you've been here at Western. So I guess what would it mean? I know it's one game at a time, but what would it mean if this group, the senior guys, and even for you personally, to try to get over that hump this year and play in the NCAA?
Well, hey, Dominic, anytime you win a championship and that last game's a championship and NCAA tournament, that's really special. As you mentioned, I guess that was I look at it as always my first year. I don't even count that first year season. Like I said, we just tried to get through that season, have a team put on daggone court. So I look at that first year basically as a year against Marshall down there, wasn't it? When that little guard, Elmore, went off the second half. And we still had the ball rolled around the rim. You guys were there. You guys that were here just rolled around the rim to win a championship. Hey, that's difficult. The next year, we lose that whole bunch as a new team. It's Old Dominion in, wasn't it? And again, under a minute to go, I know Jared has a shot to tie that game up to win that game. Last year, we didn't have a tournament. So, the last 2 times we've had it, we've been in championship game and been right down to the wire. So, to answer your question, those teams are different. It's totally different year. It's a new team. It's a different year. But we know in this league, it's such, unless you're just perfect in a non-conference, it's a one-bid league. And that's difficult. That's just where it is. We put ourselves in position, in a non-conference, people we've played, the people we beat, to give ourselves a chance. Unless you just go perfect. You go beat West Virginia and go beat Louisville, and, maybe you're in. But, like I tell Zach, we're not the Boston Celtics. That ain't easy. For our guys to have done what they've done still, beating a Northern Iowa, was picked to win the Missouri Valley now, and we beat them when they're full speed. A Memphis, who's pretty good, had West Virginia down. Go to Alabama and do something that no other SEC team has done. A Rhode Island team that was picked a lot higher in a Atlantic 10, but hadn't played well. And again, we've had a couple losses in this league back to back. That normal season, we wouldn't have been in. We wouldn't have had those games. And, I think the one thing that's hurt our team in this league more than anything, it leveled the playing field. And what I mean by level the playing field, that second night game, everybody else had a chance again. Taking fans out of diddle, because you all know we're the one team in this league it sells out. It leveled the playing field for the other 10 teams in the league who don't draw much. So all those things was an effect for us. That's why I'm saying it's even more special when your team can come through this thing and win a championship like these guys did.
Anything else for Coach?
Hey,
Hunter,
Coach, this is Gary Graves from AP again.
Gary?
Was there a point during that whole 5 games and 9-day stretch that you kind of saw the personality of this team really kind of come out, and forget about kind of the win-loss record for a sec, but you kind of got an idea of what can carry you through March?
Well, Gary, probably not in this stretch. And here's the reason why. We're down Luke and Josh for a couple of these games. We don't have Luke in Houston. Don't have Josh or Luke Florida National Series. And basically the first game against Old Dominion, we don't have Luke. That wasn't Luke. We all know that. He had to get his legs back and get a little bit of rhythm. And, Josh being out so long. So really didn't get a rhythm through all that. We knew what our team was, from day one, from first right off the bat. It's been a challenge different ways. Last year's team is easier to go score different ways. Carson at the 5, floor spread, it's easy to go. It was never was easy. Lots of times when Charles and Carson together, and you all know this as well, documented by now, even though the stats don't show it, stats shows we're a good shooting team, if you can believe that or not. I guess we were leading the conference in three-point shooting percentage, but we don't shoot many. I think it's very obvious we're not a great shooting team consistently. So we've had to overcome those things offensively. But I knew from the get-go, our first game, beating Northern Iowa, now this team's got a chance. Turn around and do it against Memphis. Hey, West Virginia, there's 3 top 5 teams right now, 3 top 10 teams, if I'm correct on this, that we've played here. Beat one of them, had the other one down 10 or 12 in the second half. Jared, you was with us out there at West Virginia. There's 3 top 10 teams, West Virginia, Houston, and Alabama. So short of being just perfect in a non-conference, it's just difficult to get another team in, and we're not perfect. You play as many games you're going to play. You're going to have you're going to have games that you don't play as well, and like I say, that back-to-back stuff, ain't no question, cost us a couple games in this league. There's no question about that. So, but all that's done. I think what we can take from this, Gary, is we've learned from it all now. This is probably the first time, and I think I'm correct on this. I think we get Bailey back today. This may be the first time in over a month, we're going to have everybody going out there to practice. That's a good thing. It's the best time to have them. It's all get on the plane tomorrow, all going as one, and we all know what we have to do. And no question, every experience we've had this year, every team we've played, the competition of these games and teams, it will help us down there in Frisco.
Yeah. As a follow-up about Charles, how has he adapted to changing defenses against him? And I guess by the same token, how has he adapted on the other end as, teams maybe try to challenge him, get him in foul trouble, and yet he still holds his ground?
Well, and not to make no excuses for Charles, and you guys may know it or not know it, I'll tell you, because some of you probably have witnessed a few things the last couple games. You say, well, that don't look like Charles. As I said, the fatigue thing is a huge factor for Charles these last 5 games. Now, here's the thing none of us knew when we went to Houston. We didn't figure it out until the second half of that game. Remember, we're up 1 on Houston, second half down there. He kept couldn't breathe. And, we're in a war. He was bent over. I tried to rest him, but couldn't breathe. Well, we come back and find out the next day he's got pneumonia. And that's something that wasn't public knowledge. And that was last Thursday, and we got to play Sunday and Monday. He plays both of those games. Doctor says he's fine. He's been treated for it. I think he spent a day in the hospital probably Friday getting IVs and all that put in, fighting pneumonia. And he's still recovering from that. And you guys saw in the Old Dominion game, besides just the 5 games in 9 days, he's fighting that. He's being treated for that. You all saw Curry go in that lane a few times and shoot some shots, or his guy post up, shoot some shots that 3 weeks ago he would have blocked every one of them. So from a fatigue standpoint, having that a little bit, then compounded a little bit with, fighting pneumonia from 2 weeks ago or wherever that was. I don't know how long when we played Houston, when we figured out. That's been 10 days now. Almost 2 weeks, be 2 weeks Thursday. But I really think this was the first. We had a Sunday off. We had a Monday off. And those days were great for him. He needed that. After coming out of this stretch, we come through. I don't think there'll be any excuses or any reasons, and none of these others were excuses neither, because he played his butt off still. But he'll be. I think this little rest in these 2 days will help him in his 3-game stretch down there.
All right, everybody good?
We're good, guys.